What's going on, everybody? Today's video is a bit different compared to what you would normally see on this channel, which is usually Mortal Kombat lore, history, and character deep dives. But I had an opportunity to interview Rewind, who's one of the best Mortal Kombat / Injustice players in the world. For those of you not familiar with Rewind, he won EVO 2018 for Injustice 2. He won Celtic Throwdown 2019 for MK11. And more recently, he took second in EVO 2022 for MK11. At the moment, he competes in MK1 on the pro competition circuit, and we chatted for about an hour and a half, covering his history in fighting games, everything from MKX up through MK1. We talked about the state of the FGC from a prize pool perspective. We talked about his character selection and how he goes about it. So there's a lot of good content in here, and I hope that everyone who watches this enjoys it. And if you do, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe.
You said how long have I been playing fighting games?
Yeah, whether it be casually, competitively, however you remember. Because my follow-up question is, what are some of your earliest and fondest memories as a fighting game player?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm just go back all the way casual. I was introduced to MK at man, I think it was Tekken or MK. I can't even remember. They both kind of like were the games that my uncles just had. They just had both of them, and they loved playing both of them. And one uncle was better at one game than the other, so they just both had them. And man, it was either Tekken 3 or it was either they had all the games though. I think the ones that strike memory most is Armageddon and Shaolin Monks. And bro, I don't even know what year those games were. That was probably like 06.
Armageddon was 06, yep.
Yeah, like 5. Like those are the games they had. I used to come over because they used to watch me. I was like 5 years old. I was like, I'm born in 2000. So, like I was probably like 5 years old playing them games. And they were co-op too, you know, Shaolin Monks were co-op. So I played my uncle and stuff. So, but that's where my memory of playing fighting at like 5 years old. But as far as it being competitive, that was a whole lot of years later.
Okay, so 20 years, roughly 20 years, give or take. 20 years ago, you started playing.
Yeah, like when I got introduced to fighting games and like really but Mortal Kombat, bro, it just stuck out to me for sure. Like,
and then if you remember, fast forward to your earliest competitive memories to like when you started, maybe not necessarily playing in tournaments, but like taking games more seriously and leveling up.
You like just getting better, or like you said to a tournament extent? Like
not even necessarily tournaments, but like at what point did you realize this is something I want to pursue? I want to get better at fighting games and maybe compete someday.
Probably 2016. Yeah, like my first tournament. Like after my very first tournament was at EVO, because I was like it was in such a short amount of time that like the competitive scene was introduced to me. It was like 2016. I was like, clans at that time were dying, but like that was just what I was in. Like I was in the clan, and they were just people who were like either my skill level or like, you know, just trying to get better. And 2016, yeah, and then my clan leader, he was saying like, yo, you should go to EVO. Like I'll even send you. I'm like, EVO. And then he was saying, is it right in your backyard? And it was because I live in Vegas, or at that time I lived in Vegas. So he was just like, it's right in your backyard. I'll send you. All you gotta do is get there. I'll pay for the registration. And when you live in a city where a tournament is, other than registration, that's all you can just go back home after every day of the event. So you don't even need a room. You don't need a room. You don't need a flight. You just need to get there. So registration, all you need to worry about. And he paid that, and I pulled up. Off no tournament experience. Like I don't even recall being in an online tournament at that time. Like I think my first bracket tournament might have been EVO. I really don't know if I've ever been in a bracket other than EVO at that point. And then first round, I get White Boy, who was at that time was a top player. He was like the best Jason. And I knew who White Boy was. He's a dude that I always see on streams. And I'd be like, damn, he's always in the brackets. And I'm like, that's my first round opponent. So like not only is my first bracket, I got a sweaty, like I got a top player I gotta beat. So and I ended up beating him. And then ended up beating him with a character that I didn't even want to main. Like I didn't even main. I couldn't actually play my main character because the monitors were so different from the TV I played on at home. So I couldn't play the character I actually played, Devora. I was doing like Devora cancels and stuff like that. They got to be tight, high execution stuff. And I couldn't do them on the monitor because it was like 1 ms. And my TV was like 30 plus ms, something crazy. So I couldn't adjust. So I just picked a side character. And then, but I made a pretty deep run. And then somebody was like, bro, you should make a Twitter, bro. Like, that's where the whole scene is. And then that's kind of like how I got aware that, you know, like I knew there was a tournament scene because I knew these players before I pulled up. Like, you know, clearly I've been watching them. But that was like the first time where I was like, oh, they're not that far in skill. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can actually, you know, beat these guys if you just like, I don't know. It's a little deeper than practicing, but if you have the ability to adapt and stuff like that, you can beat these guys. Like, you can go from a complete nobody to beating a top player if you just apply yourself. But that was kind of like, yeah, 2016 is about where I was like, yeah, I could probably pursue this as something bigger than, you know, just for fun, like probably for some money. Because I was back when you're 16, 15, you start needing money to do certain things.
Right.
It was really the money that made me want to play. Because I was like, dang, SonicFox want 60K? 75K? I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Let me get in on that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'll take a third place. I don't gotta beat them. Like, at that time, even third, fourth place was taking home big money. So I was like, if I could just get good enough to get the top 8, like I'm thinking I'm gonna get paid. Off video games too. That's cool. So that's why I got into it. I was like, bro, I'd rather play games than freaking work. Game it.
Makes sense. That's the dream. So you made top 32 that event from what I read up. What do you remember about everything beyond, you know, going up against White Boy and like maybe even as a spectator, as it being since it was your first event?
Yeah, my first event was poorly ran from EVO. Like EVO ran MKX 2016 poorly. Like it was like my top 32 match was at like 12 in the morning. Like it was like 12 in the morning and then we're at top 32. So all those people who made like top 8 had to have made top 8 at like 1 in the morning or something like that. Cause I got eliminated at like midnight. I was like, dang, like my family's gonna be like, bro, you was out all day, you know. But that event, like, you should not be like playing for top 8 qualification at like 12 in the morning, bro. Like that event ran too late. That event ran so late. I think it ran late too because they were trying to stream everything. Like as far as like from 32 down, it was like all on stream. It was ugly too. EVO was different back then. It came even a ways from 2016 to now. It came a ways, and I know it's came even more of a ways from before then to 2016. I don't know, but that was the most memorable part. Was getting out so late. I still remember, like, I think I had like Wonder Chef in my pool or something, like too. Like Wonder Chef, I had to beat him to get out. And at that point, like I knew Wonder Chef wasn't nice, but I knew that he had like some form of a following, and he was like commentary sometimes. So it was like, oh, okay, at least like I'm getting my name out there type thing. Because those are the people who are going to tell other people, like, bro, this just guy, you know. But like, it's because I knew at that tournament, I was like, I knew I could beat people. I just was like, I just got beat up, bro. But I wasn't even like that good. Like usually some people wait to go to a tournament to when they feel like super threatening nowadays. But netcode was different back then. The netcode in MKX was horrible at that point. So offline to online's transition was so much harder than it is today. The netcode's so good nowadays that like you can actually like gauge your skill level pretty good without ever taking a step offline. And then when you do, it's not that much different. People are woke on monitors. People are woke on like having good equipment to compete. So back then I was like agile, TV, like maybe an HDMI cable. Like I don't know, maybe, you know, I think you had to for the PS4 though, but yeah.
So you took out some well-known players. What were their reactions? Do you remember? Were they like, who is this guy?
I don't even know who was well known though.
Had anyone heard of you beforehand?
No, I actually knew quite a bit of people just from online. Like,
okay.
Like I knew Scar already before I even went to EVO. So when I met Scar, it was just like I get to meet the person in person. It's not like you didn't know. I knew like a Beyond Toxin, and then I wasn't friends with him, but like he knew my gamer tag. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those. He knew my tag, but he didn't know me. He just like could put 2 and 2 together. Oh yeah, you might have been that guy. That, you know, I knew Illusions. That's it, really. I didn't know too many people at that EVO because I just stayed on, like, at that time, like, if you weren't playing in offline tournaments, you were nobody. Like, anything you did online was nobody like, they didn't care at all. It's a lot more different nowadays. You can get a lot more credibility without going offline nowadays than back then. Like, back then, if you didn't do anything in front of the cameras, nobody cared.
It's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
But what about MKX? So how about MKX as a game? Because me personally, it's one of my favorite. It's definitely my favorite of the NRS era, just because I like the fast pace, like, you know, the run button. MKX.
Yeah, MKX.
What did you feel about it overall? Like, as a game, from the mechanics, the run button, the variations, like, what did you think now that you know what you know about MK and even Injustice and how the game's advanced over the years? Like, how do you feel about MKX looking back?
Back then, I just knew MKX was very fun, but also very annoying because there were so many 50-50s that even when you guessed right, you didn't get a reward. You just kind of didn't die. That's about as good as it got. You just didn't die this time. You know, you might guess wrong next time. Yeah, just all the safe 50-50s and just you could just throw them out like so effortlessly because they're so fast. And, you know, like Shinnok's forward 4 was 7 frame low. Like, that is crazy. That's a poke, you know. That's like most characters' fastest poke, and that's a low. So stuff like that. I don't miss that game. It was so fun that it almost overshadowed how bad it was, though. It was horrible. Like, as far as a tournament video game that you're supposed to compete in tournament, that game was horrible. Like, anybody could just pull up with their mix-ups and just you could be the better player, but sorry, you can't guess right. It's over. Run button, there's no neutral. You know, you just sitting there. Am I gonna run up in your face or am I not? You know, am I gonna cancel my run? Like, I guess it's like MKX's version of footsies. You know, I guess neutral, but it's an ugly neutral. It's not difficult to apply, but it's also very difficult to defend. You know, it's like this guy can throw these options at me that are very difficult to deal with, but they're not difficult to do to me. Like, that's not cool. So in that aspect, it's a horrible game, but it was so fun because the endless creativity and there were so many, you know, all 3 variations of most characters were actually pretty good. Like, even if there was one definitive best variation, they were all still pretty good and pretty viable. Like, I don't know about some characters probably didn't have 3 good variations, but there were some people who would literally loyal one variation of a character and not even like the character themselves as a whole, you know.
Yeah, that's where the counterpicking came into play too. Like, you wouldn't even counterpick the character, just the variation.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, the game, looking back on it, MKX was a horrible competitive game, but it was a very fun casual game.
So my follow-up to that would have been, is there anything from MKX that you'd like to see return in either MK1 or in any future titles? Like, absolutely not.
You said anything mechanic-wise from MKX?
Yeah.
No.
That's fair.
No.
Plain and simple.
Actually, yes. X-Ray. I'd rather have X-Ray back instead of Fatal Blow.
Okay. That's fair.
X-Ray, you need to get 3 bars for it, and then if you blow it, you lose it. You know?
Yeah, you don't have it until you're basically dead in the game.
Yeah, Fatal Blow, you get down to 30% health, which you only get down to from getting hit. Getting hit is not a good thing. Getting hit's not supposed to be the strategy. You know, that's the strategy sometimes. It's like, if I'm like 35% health, I might get hit by a projectile just to get Fatal Blow. Now you're going to die if I hit you, you know, even though you weren't going to die until I had 30% health. That's a horrible mechanic.
Get out of jail free card, more or less.
You get rewarded for getting hit, and then you actually have a chance to win. You know, that's not a great mechanic. So I'd rather have X-Ray. That's the only mechanic.
That's fair. So
I think everybody would agree.
That was something I would have. Now I know the answer to a question I was going to ask later, so that checks that off the list. Okay. So we go from MKX into Injustice 2.
Mm-hmm.
How did you handle that transition from a game with pretty much a block button. It's very fast paced into like a DC hero fighting game where there's no gore and it's more maybe technically proficient, where there's more strategy involved. How did that affect you switching from one game to another?
It's a transition that I actually made pretty effortlessly. I don't know how. I never played a back to block game before that. So making that transition, for some reason, it was just effortless, because the only thing that changed in my head from MKX to Injustice 2, aside from everything, was if I can get used to blocking in this way, then I could play the game, because I understand how to implement, Mortal Kombat's like fighting engine. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I understand how to play that game, that engine. It's like I understand how pokes on hit work. I understand like frame traps. I understand how to, check bad players. I know how to be good at that game. I just need to understand how to defend. And then I have to learn the matchups. And then I have to just learn Injustice. Oh no, it's just I understand NRS games. It's just a different skinned NRS game.
Yeah.
NRS game reskinned as superheroes instead, So that's the only difference. And the block button. It's also not even the same block button as it is like Street Fighter. You could hold down to block too. But in other games you have to hold down back. Down back is, and then if you hold down in any other fighting game, you're gonna get hit low. That's the difference about Injustice. So you don't get hit by cross-ups like that in Injustice.
Right.
But you would get mixed in a different fighting game. But that makes you free to cross up over. I'm getting deep. Go
ahead. My next question would have been so a new game comes out. Are you familiar with DC Comics characters like whatsoever?
No.
How do you go about picking a character?
If they look cool or if they're fun.
Okay.
And if they're just broke on top of that, then it's like even
Gravy.
better. Yeah, but sometimes you gotta have that sort of passion for a character by just pure love for how they look and how they play, that even triumphs like the lore behind why you actually like them in the comics. And once you like fall in love with just how they play, you might end up making that character broken. Otherwise a guy who's not that passionate about the character, he doesn't like resonate, like he just doesn't really feel and fit the character, he's just not gonna bring the best out of that character. So sometimes it takes the dude like like when I play Reiko or something, like if I didn't kind of like make the blueprint for Reiko, a lot of people I don't think would be making him seem as like busted as he is talked about today. But now his character's like put on such a high pedestal, and other people like try to mimic how I play with him. So it's even difficult to fight other Reikos because they got the blueprint. They're like, oh, he just does this a lot, so I'm gonna just do this a lot or something like that.
And Reiko in general was just a character you kind of vibed with from like an aesthetic standpoint, and then it kind of fit your playstyle.
Not even at all. Didn't care for Reiko at all coming
really?
into it. I didn't even watch the trailer. Like I didn't watch the trailer. The first time I saw Reiko was when I played him in the game when it came out, day one, because I didn't even get an early access copy or anything. So I played Reiko, and the only reason I played Reiko is because somebody came in chat and was like, "Bro, Reiko got a mid command grab." I said, "Swear." He was like, "Yeah, but it's 2 bars." I'm like, "Damn, that's a lot of meter."
I can make it work.
Yeah. I was like, "Dang, he got a command grab," and then it's like 10. I think it was like 11 frames, something quick, and I was like, "Damn." I was like, "Okay, if I play this character and he has good buttons to complement his good command grab, character's crazy." And it just so happens he has good mix-ups and they're safe. And I was like, oh, no. So I got interested in Reiko because of the fact that somebody in chat came in and said, yo, he has a command grab. And it could be EX for 2 bars and be mid and does 21%. Those all were just like, yo, that's crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot of things that I like in a character. Because I like command grabs because it makes the opponent not able to tech my throws.
Mm-hmm.
People can tech throws if you got good reactions and you guess right. But it doesn't matter what a grab. It forces you to make a decision that's not a great one. You don't got great options. It's either get hit or guess right, and I'm still safe. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I like command grabs, because they punish very good defensive players for being so disciplined. To like, if you're going to take that grab, it's going to grab you.
And that's mentally just you get mentally checked from that.
Yeah, some guys just can't. Yeah, it's just like I like that character. It makes it so command grab characters are characters that you can choose for people Like, it doesn't matter how good the opponent is. Like, their defense could be amazing. They have to let go of block to read this grab because they can't take it. That means
You're
like
gonna get grabbed, and it'll be
you're gonna get
frustrating.
grabbed, or I'm not gonna grab, and you're gonna think I'm gonna grab. That's like it doesn't matter if you're Tokido, you gotta guess. You know what I'm saying?
That's in the
So
back
why,
of your mind the whole time when you're playing.
no, that's why I don't feel like I'm ever like I'm out of it because I could just make you could just guess wrong. So characters that implement like forced guesses over and over, they're pretty good.
So then how did you go about selecting a character back in Injustice 2? Like which I mean, I'm sure you've played many, but what were the ones that stuck out in your mind that you kind of, use as a foundation?
Buttons. I like good buttons.
Okay.
Good buttons are like something that if a character has that, like I can work with that. That's why I like could use like Johnny Cage and like MK11, who wasn't like that. He was super honest and he wasn't mixing you, but his buttons were amazing. So you can really, do a good amount of work with just good buttons and good foots and good neutral. Good but because a character, if they have horrible buttons, in my opinion, they're a horrible character. Like if you got horrible buttons, you're horrible. That's in my end. I think that's you'll see a common trend in a lot of top tier characters in most NRS games. Like they all got good buttons, but they also got a bunch of other good stuff too. So it just gets too much. It gets to be too much. But characters that got horrible buttons, like it's like, bro, what are you gonna do with those? You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna do nothing.
That's fair. So the good buttons create a core for you to kind of work upon. It's like this is all good, and then if everything else is good about the character, then we're running.
Like if
with
I
it.
see a button and I'm like, ooh, that goes far. What's the frame net on that? Oh, it's safe. How safe? It's like neutral. It's a good stagger. Like good buttons are just those are what make me be like, yeah, that button's like that's a good button. Like all I think about, damn, that button's good. I say that a lot when I see something that like hits really far. Or I see somebody mash after. I'm like, dang, what is that on blood? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what do you remember about the early Injustice competitive days? Because I mean, we'll get to EVO shortly, but what do you remember early on competing in Injustice, like leading up to EVO?
In 2017.
Yeah, because so 2017 the game comes out, and then the EVO that
that was a rough year because like I was doing so much work. I was doing so good online, and every time I go offline, like I would fall short. Like right out of top 8, I was like a top 16er. Like I couldn't break top 8 offline, but I was like right there. But online, I was a monster. Like I was like never missing the top 8. And back then, those online brackets, they were sweaty. Like they had the top players in them. Like it wasn't like nowadays where like most of the top level competition just doesn't compete in anything online, and they might compete every once in a blue moon. Like this was back when like Dragon was in every War of the Gods every week. This was Deox every week. Bio, Honeybee every single week. Hayate every week. Even in Comic Cup when the season I got second in the semi or something, Sonic wasn't every one. Sonic is never in any online bracket nowadays. Like if he may like have like he competed in like a few like this last month to prepare for the Pro Comp West online that he just won. You know what I'm saying? So like everything has to be strategic for him. He's like, if there's no reason to play in online, I'm just not going to. So I think a lot of people adopted that mentality. They're like, they started to realize what was worth their time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people just don't play in online brackets now because it's just not worth my time. Like there's more downside to playing in them than good.
Yeah, because you're teaching other people how you play, and then maybe that could be used against you in an offline match.
Not even
right?
that, because I'm confident in my skill where I'm just gonna adapt if you manage to somehow adapt, right? But I know my skill is like, it's a bit much to handle if you've just never played me before and first time you're playing me is in a bracket. But yeah, like giving people data is not really the biggest thing, but it's like I'm sitting there wasting time playing in a bracket for no money. And I could be better applying that time that I'm playing in bracket to maybe content, maybe playing offline, maybe getting better at another game, maybe something else. Because that being a bracket is not like for hours. These tournaments aren't just like 2 hours. You mean 6, 8 hours. and then you're playing it for no money, and then all you have is something to lose because everybody is trying to scalp you. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're in that bracket, somebody's thinking, "Ooh, like if I can get a victory over this dude, my name would skyrocket." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's just no incentive really. There's just no winning there. Like if I win, cool. He won a tournament. He's supposed to win that. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to. You know.
But if you lose it, exposed. He's washed up.
Not even that. Like I don't care about if somebody calls me washed up after I lose in one online bracket, because then I'm just gonna show them everything else I've done, and then I'm gonna ask them, give me something that you've done. You know what I'm saying?
What have you done? Yeah.
It's like, don't do that game. You know, I'm playing this because people want to see me playing them. You know, I'm not playing it because I want to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I have nothing. It's like when everything that I feel like I have to prove is in the offline scene. Like there's nothing.
Yeah,
100%. I have to prove.
It's
like,
way more legitimate. Because you can't
saying.
use like, oh, the net code's not good or my connection wasn't good. There was lag. It ran really late. Like, there's no real excuse.
Even that, even online, you have like a few, like I forget how many frames it is. There's like a few frames of delay that you cannot do anything about. Even if you have the best hardware and best internet on the planet, it's just instilled in online play for that NRS game. I think. I don't know if it's still in MK1, but I'm pretty sure it is. And with that delay being there, how can you ever legitimize it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because there's some players where like those few frames might make or break their whole gameplay. Like there's some people who got crazy reactions in offline, but they get hit by stuff online. You know, they get hit by little stuff that they just don't get hit by. And like kind of like Sonic. Sonic is a whole different player offline when I play him. Like he's like, I saw him reacting to stuff at ECT the first time Frame Game 1. I didn't even know you could react to. Like I thought that was a full blown guess that you had to guess. He's like, no, you just look at it and just stand up. Like what? But I guarantee if you play online, you're getting smacked by that overhead. I'm telling you. Well, that's like the difference. Even if it's just a minute difference, that's the difference for some players. Some players can play online somehow still and produce like the same, but I don't know. Everything like I want the things that I want to accomplish, like their online is not in it, you know, like a World Finals or something like that.
So basically, if you're competing online, let's say back in the Injustice 2 days, and you go through all 2017, you're not really feeling validated by any of the online results at the time?
Not even then.
Okay.
Yeah, all I was playing in those brackets for was money. Because I had no money. So getting like a second or a first in a Kombat Cup or World of Gods was like my actual money. That was like money that the only money was coming in when I was a kid. So,
and you weren't creating content at all at that time, or okay?
I was in high school. Like I was playing basketball and stuff. Like, like I was like playing in these tournaments because I'm like I haven't had money. It's so nice to be able to get some shoes and like because my mom like ain't going. She's only gonna buy me one thing a year or something. You know what I'm saying? So I get some Kombat Cup money or something like that. War of the Gods money. I can get me like a pair of Vans every week if I get top 8 every single week, you know, but you have to like win or get second to get paid in those terms. Looking back, but that money was so good though. Like the money for some reason online tournaments was actually better when I was playing in them than they are now. More money then.
Yeah.
And they weren't even Matcherino. There was no crowdfunding. So it was like, I already feel like I soaked up all the glory days when online was actually still kind of respected. Now it's like even worse. But for the netcode being good is kind of what sheds light. That's what makes people transition easier, I guess. But,
so then you fast forward a year to 2018, and considering how important money was to you at that time, you know, you go into EVO as maybe not unknown because people in the scene knew you during MKX, at least with your tournament performances. Can you talk about EVO and just like your entire experience? You know, getting there, do you remember who you played and just like how you felt at your second EVO?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because the first one was horrible. I got 33rd. That was a bad EVO. And that was annoying too, because I was so hyped up to do good at that EVO. The year before I won, like Pick It Up at that time still had a pretty respected voice. So he was like, guaranteed bare minimum Rewind gets like top 3 or something like that. And at that point in time, I was doing work too with Atrocitus. Like I was like, I made the Atrocitus blueprint, and it sucked to see other people get to go to the first early events and apply my game plan and like cook. I was like, bro, and they're not even the best ones. And then I finally
could be me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I finally get to EVO and I flop because I run into two matchups that I've never ran into, and I got reverse 3-0'd. And so that was like a deflating moment. It was like, dang, I might be horrible. Like I might not be him. That was like I might not be him. Like 2017's EVO.
That's
'Cause I
the
got 3rd
ultimate comeback story then, because a year later, like, you
Yeah.
know, do you remember, were people kind of gassing you up before the 2018 Evo, or were they kind of, oh, well, he didn't
Yeah,
do
man.
well
I
at the
was
last
gassed
one,
up.
so.
I was pretty much gassed up my whole like career kind of coming onto the scene. Like not the first EVO. I was very unknown at that time.
Mhm.
Only people who thought I would do well are the ones who were around me, playing with me, like online and stuff. But like as far as like 2017, I was hyped off 2017 because I was doing good at those combat cups and at the end of MKX. And they saw me beating like Sonic and Samij and all the top players in MKX. So they were like, okay, well, let's see how he does it just two. And then and just two comes out and I get top 8 in the first War of the Gods with Atrocitus. I'm like the only Atrocitus. So people were like, okay, he's still good. He didn't just die off after MKX. Okay, he's still good. And then I'm doing good in these War of the Gods. So coming to Evo, people were like, okay, well, let's see how he does this time because he's way better than he was last Evo. Like he's like beating Sonic and stuff. So like he has to do good, right? And then I just get in the bracket and I'm killing everybody in bracket. But this is the first in just 2 Evo. This is like a lot of entrants too. So and there's a lot more money because first year had a crazy amount of money in the Pro Tour. And I get to just 2 matchups that like they were just 2 known players. It was like a tie. I got reverse 3 by a tie, and I got reverse 3 by uh Burrito Voorhees, who's like Forever King's little
Mhm.
brother.
Yep.
He's playing Scarecrow. And then a tie was playing Blue Beetle. 2 matchups where good luck finding 2 players who play those 2 characters in month 3 of the game coming out. Like Blue Beetle and Scarecrow and they're specialists. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what to do. Like I went up. So yeah, bounced to come into Evo 2018. Even more anticipation on me doing well. Because more people were like, okay, he's like proved he's like a monster. He can hang with these guys and he can like win online tournaments like over these guys and he can like place the top 8 every single time with these guys. But every time he goes offline, he gets like 9th or he gets like 13. That was what was happening to me at that time. I didn't go to a super amount of offline. Like Evo 2018, the one I won was like within my first 5 events. Because first event was Evo 2016.
Mhm.
Second event was Evo 2017. And then third event was Absolute Battle.
You did go to Combo Breaker for MKX?
Yeah, I went that was for Injustice 2. But
Okay.
MKX was also there.
Okay. Oh, right.
And
Okay.
yeah. And actually no, it wasn't within my first 5 terms. It was like within my first 10 or something like that. And then I went to Combo Breaker 2018, CEO 2018, and then Evo 2018. So these like I still like am not super seasoned offline. Like even when I won Evo. But so I just everything I have went to offline up to that point, I was pretty I had pretty like disappointing performances. Like they weren't what you would think I would get based off like how much I'm doing online. Like I'm producing so much online. Like how is he still getting 9th? And at that time, it was just like, dang, that hump, you know?
So
Like if I cleared the hump.
where was your mentality at heading into that Evo? Like, did you feel pressure to do well, or were you
Mm,
kind of like, I'm just gonna go in and do my best and just see what happens?
kind of, yeah. I'm just gonna do my best to see what happens because I already got over the hump at Combo Breaker. I got my first offline top 8. Like
Yep.
technically, my first offline top 8 was E League 2017 Last Chance Qualifier, which was sweaty because there was a lot of competition at that Last Chance Qualifier for E League because it was a lot of money. People wanted that money,
Mm-hmm.
like $250,000 if you just win. I think if you get top 2 at LCQ, or no, it might have just been in top 1. I think it might have been top 2. Get into E League, so everybody was like, "Bro, this is 2 slots. I can go win 250,000 maybe." And so everybody went to that, even though you don't get nothing outside of qualification for those top 2 spots. We literally everybody. I flew to Atlanta at 16 or 7. Yes, dang, I was 16. I flew to Atlanta at 16. to try to get into that E-League. And I got like 5th, but that was like my first time, being in the top 8. So that was cool, but it wasn't no money. So I get top 8 at Combo Breaker, and that's when I finally got over the offline hump of man, I can't make no dang top 8. And then once you get over that first hump of you can't make top 8, like for me personally, everything else kind of started just flooding in after that. All the like accomplishments just started flooding in after the first top 8. But getting over that mental hump was rough. Went to SCR, got 9th. Went to SCR like 20. Actually, yeah, we had 9th at SCR, and then I got top 8 the next year. So it's like it's just one. Once I got over that mental hump, it got a lot easier for me. But oh yeah, you said the anticipation going to EVO.
Yeah,
I didn't feel that much pressure because I felt like all the pressure was already at Combo Breaker.
Okay.
Actually, all the pressure was at KIT 2018, the tournament before Combo Breaker in January, and I folded. I literally like got off 2 like back-to-back War of the Gods wins over Samij, and Samij was like the only person beating Samij at that time was like Sonic. So I beat him 2 weeks back-to-back. So going to KIT, I think freaking KIT, this is January 2018. Sonic tweets on Twitter before KIT, I think Rewind might end up being the best Injustice 2 player. Like, because I'm beating Sonic in casuals in January 2018 or something crazy. He was like, I think Rewind might end up being the best Injustice 2 player because I was cooking Samij too. And then I go there and I'm cooking everybody. And then I get to top 16 winners and I get to Sonic offline. It's the first time I ever get to play Sonic offline. And then he goes up 2-0. And he goes up 2-0 on my flash, and he's playing Black Manta. This is when Black Manta just dropped. And then I end up picking I'm losing with Flash, and I'm like, I'm just gonna pick something broke. I ended up going Black Adam, and I ended up bringing it back 2-2, and I was teabagging.
Oh no!
I was teabagging in our first encounter offline, and then he barely beats me. Virtually robs me for top 8 winners, and then I go down, and I have to play Scar, and then he kills me. He murders me like for top 8. I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna beat Scar. I just beat him at Elite Last Chance Qualifier in 2017. At the end of it. And then he freed me up. I'm like, because everybody was like, oh, you still got that, bro. You usually cook Scar. And then he killed me. And I was like, no way. Like, I got 9th again. I got 9th. So KIT, so much pressure going to KIT. And I folded and got 9th there. And then I redeemed myself at Combo Breaker. And then got 9th at CEO. And then won EVO. So I felt like all that pressure wasn't even going into EVO.
Yeah, because you had the reps in offline. And you got all the bad performances and, falling short of expectations out of the way.
Yeah.
So in the lead up to EVO, like, did you have any kind of offline practice?
I don't remember. I mean, at that point, rollback was a thing. So, like, I was just playing online all the time with Samij and Sonic. I had a lot of practice with Sonic and Samij a lot. And that's literally all I play with. And maybe Illusions, but I feel like I don't remember if Illusions started to not play as much at that time. But yeah.
Do you remember each of your matches like along the way up to grand finals at EVO?
I remember only the wins that matter to me. The ones that I remember Dizzy, because he ended up beating Buffalo. And I did not want to fight Buffalo. I did not want to fight Buffalo at EVO. Not in like that early in the bracket because I was too sweaty because he almost killed me at Combo Breaker and I ended up barely beating him. That was like the best comeback I've ever had in my entire life on stream to get out of pools of Combo Breaker versus Buffalo. He had like 100%. He almost had like a 200% life lead, and just at 2 life bars. So he had like, and it wasn't there wasn't rounds. It was life bars. Remember that? So I made that crazy comeback. So I didn't want to play him again because I barely beat him at Combo Breaker. And I was like, this is what you got to do to make top 8. You got to barely skate by. Like, I don't know. It felt like every time there's like there's not a lot of runs that are crazy where there wasn't always almost a moment where somebody almost eliminated that guy. Like some of these tournaments where Sonic like got first and looked dominant, like there's probably some guy in like top 48 winners who almost beat him. Like you don't even know because it wasn't streamed, So Dizzy beat Buffalo and I ended up killing Dizzy. Shout out Dizzy. but you know, is what it is. And I beat him, and then I think I beat dude. I don't remember. I think I beat Scar, and then I beat Gurr for top 8 because Gurr beat Tweety. He beat Tweety like in top 32 or something, and Tweety won Dawnbreaker and got second as CEO. So Tweety coming into EVO hot. But I don't remember anything else. I don't remember like the not so like the matches versus people I just didn't know.
So you step up grand finals Sunday.
Mhm.
How, like, what's your mental at? Are you just cool, calm, collected? Are you nervous at all?
You said for top 8?
Yeah, well, for grand finals.
Ooh. Yeah, dang, that feeling was crazy. Like, I don't even remember how it felt. I'm getting like nervous thinking about it though. Like getting into because I got to grand finals twice now, and it was weird the second time. I was like, man, I feel like I've been here before or something. You know what I'm saying? Like at least
Deja
2022.
vu. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, dang, it's crazy. It's like 4 years later. But getting into grand finals of my first EVO, I was kind of like, dang, like I got such a great position to win this thing right now. Like I can actually win this thing, and it's versus somebody I know I can actually win versus. I can't fold this because I might never be in such a great position to win EVO again. Like winner side versus a guy that you know you could beat, or at least you believe you could beat. It would suck if you run into somebody who's like, dude, I never beat this guy. I'm about to get reset and cooked. Like he's about to rip this EVO right on my hands, right? But I was like, I felt like all the odds were in my favor to take EVO. I was like, I can't fold because that was only my second top 8 ever. I was like, bro, let's just get this EVO and then just like run out of here, bro, because I might never get a chance to. I might never be top 8 again or something, you know. But yeah, I was any nerves that I had were just because I knew I could actually take it, and couldn't believe that I could take that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, there's just no way that. I was just thinking. I hadn't even played my first pool match yesterday morning. Now I'm in grand finals. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's crazy to think about, but yeah, I was probably a little nervous. Confident though.
But then you win, of course.
Yeah.
Did you only play Catwoman?
In just grand finals alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only play Catwoman.
And you stuck with it even
That was
through
my
the
pick
losses.
for only Tweety. Every tournament in 2018 that I played Tweety in, it was Catwoman.
His kryptonite, if you will.
That was the only character I played versus Tweety. I think that might have been. I only had Catwoman for Tweety and Gurr, I think. Gurr, because he played Adam. Not Black Adam, Adam. Yeah. And I had Catwoman for Tweety because I saw Samij beat Tweety and I saw what he was doing to win as CEO when Samij won CEO. Up to that point, I actually had I had a block versus Starfire. Did not know how to beat Starfire. Like I got upset versus this guy named Basic Stupidity, and he actually qualified for IPS finals through the LCQ, which is crazy. But he beat me in some War of the Gods with Starfire, and I was like, I felt like he was so bad, and I couldn't understand how I could have done anything better because it just looked so scrubby. Starfire just looked so scrubby. Tweety played that character too, but he was better with her. I was like, what odds do I have of beating Tweety if I can't beat this guy? Right? Shout out Basics though. I don't have nothing to guess. I'm just saying what my thoughts were thinking at that time. But I saw Samij beat Tweety and I saw how he's doing. I was like, bro, I'm just gonna pick that. I'm just gonna what else? I got a good Catwoman up to that point. I got a really good Catwoman. I'm just gonna play her in that matchup. And ever since I picked that up because of Samij, like I literally just saw somebody else doing something and I just stole it and it helped me do all these things that I did, which is crazy. Because some people will not do that. And that's why Tekken Master's annoying because he does that too.
So then you go out and win. What are the next 48 hours like as a world champion?
Actually kind of crazy because that top 8 was on Saturday. So
Sunday, yeah.
We still have EVO Sunday, but we got nothing to do but watch, right? So I'm just around everybody still, and I'm still the chat, right? Everybody like, oh my god, this nigga the best right now. You know what I'm saying? Or people were just like
basking in the glory.
Not even though. It wasn't even like it. Not even that. It was just like you're around a bunch of people that know you won, Like you're literally the reigning EVO champ. Like, and you just weren't that 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? You see people acting, different, or they a lot more cooler than with you than they usually are, or something. Like people just, I guess, respect the run. You can't help but respect it. And I knew that, like, once I did that, I'm like, nobody can say anything no more. As far as like, is he actually capable of doing anything offline? Because after that point, all my success was online. So that was like that was like a when people like shush the crowd, when they like hit like a clutch 3 or something. It's like I just shut up all the people who said I couldn't do shit offline. You know what I'm saying?
That's the ultimate feeling, I'd imagine.
No, for sure, because like the discredit is real. The discredit is real. It's still real. But I mean,
and now
it's not
you're
as
in the
vicious as
history.
it was before.
And now you're in the history books forever. EVO champion.
Yeah, but man, I'm more salty that I didn't win it in 22 because I could have won it again. And now I'm like, will I ever get a chance to win it again? Because I was right there.
And on that note, so we go from 2019, we go to 2019 and MK11 drops. What were your initial thoughts on the game?
Horrible. MK11 on release, I thought the game was horrible.
Why?
I thought it was horrible when I played it at the Mortal Kombat reveal in January before the game dropped. I thought it felt horrible. It felt slow. It felt like I lost my turn way too quickly. Like I just went from a super offensive game like Injustice and MKX where like you can like loop plus frames and you can make your opponent guess. And I'm playing this game where there's no overheads, no lows, just pokes and no movement. And everything is like -5. You lose your turn. There's no armor. I'm like thinking, where are the mind games? I'm like, how do you apply mind games with these bad buttons and bad movement? But they made the movement like a little bit better, I think, when the release, but it was kind of the same. The game didn't function how the other 2 games did. You couldn't even like jail. It's hard to explain this in like layman's terms, but you couldn't even jail highs after your down ones on hit. Like you could poke somebody on hit and then you can do your stand 1 and they can't do anything but hold it. They got to block. And freaking MK11 on release, for some reason, like you would try to jail and it wouldn't connect. And then they actually changed it right before EVO. And I started immediately playing way better. Because it was like the game wasn't finished when MK11 came out.
Honestly, because I loved MKX and then MK11 came out and I didn't like it either. I thought it played way too slow and that's just not the kind of fighting game that I enjoy. But like, what made
especially when all these other fighting games are cracked out? Like,
yeah, super fast paced and like there's always something going on and you're not just seeing people kind of walk each other down. And the projectile spam in MK11 I know got really bad at times.
Yeah.
But what made you stick with MK11? Was it still the money, or did you like eventually grow to enjoy it?
I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where you build your brand in a certain area, and it's hard to just like throw it all away because you just don't like the game.
Makes sense.
It's like I just did all this to make my name out there, get it out there, and make myself like in the history books. And it's like, oh, I'm just gonna stop playing games or at least stop playing MK because of how it plays. I'm like, I can still like make money in this. I can still win. I can still like make content. I can still find some success in this, despite it being a bad game. Like, I'm trying to make the most out of what I got. And I put time into getting where I was, and I wasn't trying to just stop playing. That's kind of still where I even am now. Like whenever I have my grasp with MK1, it's hard to not play it still. Like if I was a complete nobody and had the option to stop playing it, I would.
Really? Okay.
I would stop playing MK1 if I wasn't so heavily tied into like this position.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Since my bread and butter is in this game, everything I've built is into this game, I kind of have to play it. Or I have to I have to be okay with losing all that comes with it, like going to tournaments and like finding success in bracket and stuff like that, and winning a prize pool or something like that. That's something that I'm just gonna be like, nah, even though I know I can do it. It's like I'm like giving away opportunity that's like I'm wasting my talent, I think, if I don't compete. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm wasting it.
Plus, I'm sure there's some sort of competitive drive within you that makes you want to compete.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I love the competition, and it's like I love the competition, and I know I have more to give.
Right.
To the franchise. Yeah.
But regardless of your opinions about MK11, you played the game, you beat SonicFox at Celtic Throwdown. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Was that like to that point, other than winning EVO, was that like your most prominent accomplishment?
What, Celtic?
Yeah. Like taking down a
Yeah.
name like SonicFox, who was pretty much like
Honestly,
FGC
Celtic
royalty.
probably still like my second biggest accomplishment. Like,
Okay.
because even though I've had great tournament runs, like memorable ones, like We Play and like EVO 2022, IPS, like great runs where like I made it to like grand finals. Like nothing beats winning. You know what I'm saying?
For
Nothing
sure.
beats winning in that setting over that kind of a player. And the players that I did, it's difficult. And Celtic was hard. And I had so much to. That was a clutch tournament victory for me, because if you take Celtic Throwdown out that equation, like I probably don't even qualify for Final Combat. All those points I got from Celtic, I needed to win.
Like watching
I needed
Celtic,
to qualify.
watching Celtic back. I mean, SonicFox is kind of like infamous for mind games while playing,
Yeah.
kind of, you know, chatter during the match. And
Mhm.
how do you handle stuff like that?
I'm
Like,
fine
do you
with it.
just tunnel vision? Do you let it affect you? Do you hear
Nah.
it? No.
No, it doesn't really bother me that much. I'm the kind of guy who talks a lot. Like I like to talk to my opponents too, not in tournament, but like casually. And me and Sonic, like we both can talk some smack. Much.
So take me through, you know, obviously there's a lot to fast forward through, but there's COVID in there.
Mm-hmm.
How did you manage your time during COVID? Because there's no in-person events. I'm sure there's some onlines. Like,
Yeah.
did you stay motivated to play MK11? Did you play it often?
Mhm.
Were you as driven to create content and to compete?
Yeah. The pandemic was kind of like a buzzkill for sure, because those are years you just don't get back of your career. You don't know what you could have did.
Right.
And during that time span, I could have got 2 more EVO medals. I could have won EVO 2020. That never happened. Who knows?
Yeah.
There was no EVO. So that's like 1 year out of your prime, I would say, that I felt like I had a year of my prime, and I felt like I was super good in 2020, like at MK11. Like I felt like I was, especially in 2021. I felt like I was super good. So if there were offline events, I think I would have did some damage. But those are just years that just didn't happen. So like I'm like doing now what I should have did then. You know what I'm saying? The resume should be a lot deeper, but that could go for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody
It's
were robbed of those years.
such a shame too.
But how I manage my time, I went in 2020, I did full-time content. I was like, ooh, this is why you need to build a brand. So I was at that point, I was really just competing. I wasn't really thinking about, oh, what if I do the streaming thing hardcore or YouTube thing hardcore? I was just like, the only name I've built up to that point was through competing. That's all I'm gonna do. So I was just like, I'm gonna do more, I'm gonna stream more often. And then I'm going to do YouTube videos.
So then there's somewhat of a positive there then, despite not
No,
being
yeah,
able to compete.
yeah.
Like, do you think you would
And then
have?
in October of 2020, I enrolled in school. So I went to school, graduated in July, and then I became an HVAC technician. That's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. I went to school during the pandemic and got a career when
Was
the
that like
pandemic
in
hit.
your plans? Like, did you plan on doing
Nah,
that? Or
pandemic caused me to be. I thought I was going to be a full-time gamer. I thought I was going to be a full-time competitor. And then once the pandemic hit, I got a career, and I'm still doing it though. I'm still doing what I was doing before, but with a full-time job.
that's just insane. And I have a question about that later. Do you think you would have built a brand, like a streaming / content brand, if the pandemic did not?
No,
Okay.
I just didn't see the value in it until it hit. Like
Okay. So it wasn't all
nobody was
bad then.
making. The pandemic was a great thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
It just showed me that there's more. I can't just compete. Like, what am I gonna do if this event stop happening? I'm just no longer have a purpose in life. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's almost, it's like the world went to literal shit.
Yeah.
And even in esports, it's like the only good thing was like, oh, cool. Like I don't like going out all that often anyway, so we can't go out. Whatever, I'll just stream. So it kind of like locked you indoors and then forced you to like figure it out. Forced you to figure out what you're gonna do with your time. I just felt like I was blessed enough to even have the option to be at home and work. Technically, like a lot of people, they couldn't go out. They had no job.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I could just stream and make videos. A lot of people don't have a grind that they can do at home. So I felt like I didn't lose my job. I just lost like the competing side of it. But up to that point, I already built myself up in competing that I knew I could just make some videos and stream and it might be enough.
So then we fast forward 2 years, and then like
Mhm.
in the lead up to EVO 2022,
Yeah.
are you actively playing the game? Are you grinding? Are you like
Mhm. I'm probably
maintaining?
I played I play the exact same amount now that I did then,
Okay.
which was a little bit after work.
Okay.
You know,
That's
work from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., 5 p.m., get home, chill for a few hours, hop on MK. I don't even hop on MK. Like now, not nowadays. I just kind of hop on when I have to stream.
okay.
Like I pretty much just play MK when I have to stream because I know I have to stream because it's good for the economy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
For sure.
And then and as in the economy, I mean my economy, like I gotta stream, it's my job, you know? So I just I don't really grind. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? It is what it
Yeah.
is.
If you're working a
I just
full-time job, that's
I just play when
understandable.
I just play when I can, and I'm just somehow been able to still sustain some form of skill that could still be up there
I mean,
without the same amount of dedication.
not playing often and then getting second at EVO is, I mean, most people would call that an incredible achievement. So talk me
Yeah,
through EVO 2022. Like, what do
yeah,
you remember?
yeah.
What stands out as like kind of the highlights for you?
Um, what stands out for sure is my little rivalry with the twins and stuff like that. It was crazy to see what they were doing up to that point, and I was like, man, it would be even crazier whoever stops it. You know, I was thinking like their run and story is so crazy right now. It would be great to be the guy who just comes and just stops it. You know, that's what I was thinking. And I was thinking like, man, they play so much more than me. They'd be grinding with each other. They're two of the best players in the world. And they play every day with each other. They got no job. They might have high school. That's it. I'm working all the time because I am unfortunately an adult. You know what I'm saying? And I got bills to pay. I don't live with people. I live on my own, you know? So I got to pay these bills and gaming isn't going to do it, you know? Sorry. No, playing MK11 up to that point, 8 hours a day isn't going to pay the rent. So I got to go to work. So me to show up, and that doesn't mean I don't play. Like I still streaming, you know? All that I'm coming into EVO 2022 with is the time that I put into streaming.
So you don't play off stream whatsoever.
Pretty much not. Like
Okay.
the only time I could really recall playing off stream was in the beginning of MK1 because the game was new, it was hot, and I was like, I got to get good at this game because who's gonna want to watch me if I'm garbage?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's when I was like playing a lot of off stream MK again. But yeah, playing off stream MK11 was like, there's just no point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would I do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, at that time, it's like I've already established a brand, a stream. People who want to watch me play it. Like, if I'm going to boot up the game, it's going to be for the viewers because they want to watch me. Anyway, like some people like can't wait to watch. Like they can't wait to like watch the best player with their favorite character or something like that. And I'm like, there's just no benefit to playing off stream. But you know, maybe that little not playing off stream is why I got second and not first. You know what I'm saying?
Could be the difference maker.
Could be the difference maker.
So you take out one half of the twins, but ultimately fall short of your second EVO medal. How did you feel after it all wrapped up? Did you feel like a missed opportunity, or did you?
Nah, I was
Were you happy with second?
I was kind of like, I wasn't happy with second. I wasn't like upset. You know, I put on a L show. I just felt like it was anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt like I was killing so many people just to fall short. You know what I'm saying?
The storyline was building too. Like that could have been the huge payoff.
Exactly. I felt like my career today is different if I win that
Mhm.
tournament. You know what I'm saying? Even though I've still done great things since then. Like I got top 8 at EVO again the next year. I got second that year. I could have got top 8. I got top 8 the next year. You know, I'm still doing things MK1, but I feel like if I win that, there's a lot more glory that comes with it because it's like, dang, like not only did he beat the twins to win the tournament, but it just so happened to be EVO too, and it so happened to be his second. You know, there's a lot more to the resume if you get that second one because it's never been done other than Sonic and NRS games to win 2 different EVOs and 2 different NRS titles. His Perfect Legend won more than one EVO, but he won it both in MK9.
MK9, yep.
Yeah. Sonic's the only one who's won EVO in different NRS games. Like he
EVO,
won
SonicFox won it for Injustice
MKX,
and MKX. Okay.
MK11. So he has 3 different games that he's won EVO in for NRS. No, that hasn't been done still, and I would have been the first to do it, but I didn't really see. That's why I feel like I kind of wish I played a little bit more and was a little less stubborn on my character choices because I like to win with who I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily play the meta. Sometimes I will. If I actually like the meta, I'll play it. But if I don't like the meta, I'm not gonna play it. Like I might play it. I don't feel like I don't know. I just always kind of like want to play what I want to play. But I'm not gonna sit here losing infinity because I want to play who I want to play that bad.
That's fair though. I mean, even in the current game, like Johnny Cage is kind of the gold standard of Mortal Kombat characters, and sure he's good, but if you're not a fan of the character, if you don't like the play style, if it doesn't fulfill you, then why play it?
Yeah.
Like sure, you can go to Johnny Cage in tournament, but I mean, do you feel rewarded if you win? I mean, I guess maybe, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, it's beyond competing at this point, but it's beyond competing because I feel like I've developed a fan base of people who actually only watch me because I bring different characters to the table. So it's like I feel like I got to do it for them in a way. It's like I got to do it for the people who support me and watch me because I'm not playing the meta. Even though, unfortunately, me bringing so many eyes to a character almost makes the meta in itself. It's like I can make a non-meta character meta. Then I feel like, am I forced to switch to another character that's not meta? Or do I just play this because despite it being meta now, I'm the one who made it meta, you know? There's that layer too, but
I mean, when people are modeling their gameplay after yours, like, how does that make you feel?
It makes me. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool because I feel like I'm always gonna do it better. I'm always gonna do it the best because it's my game plan. You know, it's how I play. But I still think it's cool because, like, nobody can sit here and deny that. Like, there's people who are gonna play Reiko regardless, right? Or Kano regardless, right? But there's certain people that weren't playing them before that are just now playing them. You know, you're like, he put you on. You know, he put you onto him. You got inspired. You know, I think it's cool to inspire people. That's the thing that's cool about kind of putting a character on a map versus like picking him up after he was already on the map. You know, like putting a character on the map is way cooler than just kind of flocking to it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though people who are champions to this day flock to the meta, you know, so people are just gonna win how they're gonna win.
Everybody has different strategies, but I think just in general, it's more to root for when you play a character like Reiko as opposed to something that's, like a Raiden Cyrax.
That's what I'm saying.
A couple months ago.
I'm not a loyalist. Like I play characters. Like I just played in that NA West tournament versus Sonic where I got second, and I played Shao versus him, and people were like, "Bro, you should play Shao instead of Reiko."
Such a fun character to watch. Probably my favorite, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a cool character. I just play who I like to play, and fortunately for me, the characters that I like to play, people like to watch it. You know, there's some people who like to play characters that people hate to watch. You know,
right? So jumping from, I guess, any last words on MK11? Like, as a whole, did you just not enjoy the game? Like at the end of its life, when you had time to like reflect back upon it.
I don't think I enjoyed that game ever.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I enjoyed that game at all. Like, there's points where it was worse than others. Like, there's points where I actually didn't like the game worse and like than I did now. Like it was like the game was I hated it, then it got better, didn't like it, then like it's like it went from I hated it to I didn't like it, But I was good at it though. Like I was able to still find success in like and still do good in the game I didn't like.
That's a feat in and of itself.
Yeah, I just didn't like the way I didn't like how it felt. Like they stripped so many having to be a good player qualities out of the game to cater to people who aren't so good at fighting games, so that they can feel like they're doing something. You know, that's just not that doesn't feel rewarding to the player who's really good. But it just seemed like look at Sonic, still the best at the end of the game's life. Well, I guess you could say the twins, but like when the money was really big and Sonic really cared, Sonic was still the best.
Seems to be a trend.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't deny it, right? Like, but yeah, I didn't really wasn't a fan, but I appreciate what MK11 did for my career and my life, but not really a fan of the game itself.
We go from MK11 to MK1. What were your thoughts about MK1, like going in based on the early footage, the early gameplay?
Man, see, this is going to turn into a MK1 looks so good until you like played it. It looked good, and then you play it, and you're like, I can't move. Like the movement felt very bad, and it's gotten so much better because from when I didn't even get to play the first stress test. The first time I actually got to play the stress test was the second stress test because I was at CEO 2023. Yeah, for and the stress test just unfortunately released that same weekend that I was a CEO. But I was at CEO for Street Fighter 6. I just didn't have anything. I didn't have any way to play the game because I didn't have setup. I didn't have and you had to get the code. So it's like even if you had a setup, you needed to get the code, and you got the code based off luck or somebody giving you theirs. And I was more focused on Street Fighter 6 because I was like, man, this game $1 million, like it's crazy, And then so my thoughts on MK1 were that it just felt bad. But when I played it again at EVO 2023, because they had a station there, the movement felt so much better. Like the movement is in such a great place right now for MK1, and I actually really like MK1. I just don't like the unfinished aspect of it, of so many bugs being in the game, and they take forever to get addressed, and like sometimes the first time you find out about the bug is in a tournament match, and it's like there's just so many bugs. There's so many game modes that we're missing. We still don't have crossplay to PC.
Supposedly later this month, so fingers crossed.
That's what I'm saying. We still got so many things that we need, and that all these other fighting games that are supposed to be like MK's cousins, like they already have it. Like they got crossplay and they got good netcode now, And that was the MK's thing before. It was like, oh, at least we got good netcode. Well, now everybody has good netcode. So it's like it's not even cool to have good netcode anymore because everybody has good netcode. And now we're just the game that, we had a bad practice mode. Like at first we had the best practice mode. Now like MK has the worst
moves. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Now we got the worst the worst training mode at all the fighting games. So MK, it's like they were the first to do a lot of things. Not even the first. I don't even know if they were the first to have rollback. They were just the first main stage game. Like Street Fighter didn't have good rollback. Street Fighter 5. MKX had rollback. Dragon Ball didn't have rollback. Like Tekken didn't have rollback. Like all these games that are supposed to be MK's like main top competitors lacked something that MK had at that time. Now everybody just has it and they're doing it better. So MK just like has to at least match them or do better again. So those are my gripes on MK1, but I actually like the game.
I mean, that's good because you didn't like MK11, so I'm sure it makes it more enjoyable.
MK1 is a super upgrade for 11.
So who were the first few characters you played
in MK1?
Yeah.
I played Johnny in the stress test, and then when the game came out, I immediately played Reiko.
And then that's. I mean, I'm sure you've experimented with other characters. Like, how much time did you put in before you were like Reiko's Reiko's my guy.
I put in like 10 minutes with Raiden in practice mode because I saw somebody do like a high damage Serena Raiden combo, and I was like, "Oh, cool! That's like the longest combo I've seen so far. Let me try it." I was just seeing people post combos, and I was like, "Oh, let me try it. Let me see if I like how they play, and then let me see if I like." It all started with me seeing somebody else do something, and I was like, "Let me try it because that's cool." And then if I didn't like how they felt, then I don't care about that combo I just saw. I'm not gonna play it. But somebody just pitched Reiko to me. I forgot. I think it was his name is it's funny, but his name is Black Lives Matter. That's his name. And that's his name. We just call him Black. And
Yeah, I've seen him in the chat before.
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and he played Jackson MK11 and he plays Reiko in this. I think he was like, "Bro, you should try him." I think he pitched like kind of some of the things that Reiko could do, and I was like, "Yeah, let me try." I was like, "Damn!" Like Black is a good enough player to like tell me what's dumb about a character, and then I'm just like, "Oh, okay, bet. Let me see." It's like, damn, I like that. You know, I like the options. It's like all about how I use them versus another person now. And if I feel like another person struggling when it's like this is my character. So with me stumbling upon Reiko was like the quickest I ever stumbled across, I think, a main in a fighting game.
And then you're currently Reiko Tremor primarily?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we move to East Coast Throwdown. How were you feeling about your game and the game overall, like heading into it?
I felt really confident in my ability with Reiko, and I just couldn't wait to show people like how crazy this character is. Like, and it felt good because nobody was really doing anything with him, so it felt good to know that I was probably gonna be the only one doing anything with him at that tournament.
And like looking back, how did you feel overall with your performance?
I felt like pretty happy with my performance because when you look at the character choices in top 24, I think either 24 or 16. I was the only Reiko and I was the only Darius. So I was the only person playing both those two cameo and characters in the entire bracket. And the people that you saw win, like the people that you saw in top 8, everybody had the same cameo. Like everybody was playing the meta. Like Sonic was a little bit different with at least, the character with Rain, but cameo was still Cyrax, Rain Cyrax, in my opinion, was the best one. That was the best one. That was the best combination with Cyrax. So discovered by Sonic though. So kudos to Sonic. So I at least give Sonic credit that most of the time when he does win, like Sonic made a team like look broken. Like they need to get nerfed. Because like I don't know if anybody else was doing Cyrax would like making Cyrax Rain look that busted. You know what I'm saying? But it was busted.
And then they nerf.
Yeah. The next day, they nerf. I was on the flight with Sonic. We were still in the air, and they said, "Yo, Cyrax got nerfed, bro." While I'm leaving ECT on the flight next to Sonic, because Sonic lives in the same city as me. But freaking, I couldn't believe it. But I felt disappointed, but pretty happy with my results. Just disappointed in the amount of money I won because the money was horrible for ECT and the pro comp in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but I also felt disappointed that I only lost to the meta. Like Combat, another great player, literally switched off of his main character just to play the meta versus me because he knows that team did good versus my character, and he knows I hate the meta is so hard to beat. He just knows like his skill mixed with that character. It's just, how do you lose that? You can't lose. Even if I'm the best Reiko Darius, I have to play
be perfect.
I have to play so much better than you to win.
Yeah. So you're already fighting an uphill battle with the meta.
I'm fighting an uphill battle, and at that point in time, I didn't have any other characters. Like I had a Johnny, but my Johnny wasn't like better than my Reiko. So it was like I gotta fight. I gotta play this matchup that I don't like, even though like I have to play this matchup no matter what. Like it doesn't matter. Like I have nothing else to go to. Like I felt like I was heckmated. It's like, dang, I got to some dudes who just played characters that I just can't beat, because the matchups are just that whack.
Did that make you want to expand your, your roster a little bit to like include more characters in case you need to?
Oh yeah, 100%. That was like, I think the very next tournament I played in. Like, I actually no, the very next tournament I won was COTR, and I still won with all Reiko Darius. People just weren't giving me a reason to come off of Reiko. And the character finally, when somebody comes up with a team that makes me have to come off Reiko, they nerf Cyrax. So I was like, oh sweet, they nerf Cyrax. So now I can still play Reiko.
I'll stick with what I got.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they didn't they nerfed Reiko Darius too. Like they actually nerfed that squad.
And
they nerfed the damage it did, but that's it.
And ECT has been your only LAN thus far,
Yeah.
right? And that's primarily because of money and lack of interest in traveling for low prize pools.
It's a combination of things. Lack of interest in traveling for low prize pools, where the only time you actually maybe break even is if you win. If you win the whole thing, and then I have to this isn't everybody's problem. This isn't my problem. I have to take off of work and miss money. I'm losing more money than everybody else to go unless they have a job. If you got a job and you're not using PTO, you're losing money. So I'm losing too much money to go to these events for less money than I could get going to work.
Yeah, I think you said that during your DreamHack watch party. You were like, whatever first place, like if you're not getting first, you're really not. It's not worth your investment in time and money to get there,
bro. Like there was players who got more money than me that restreamed ECT that were just sitting there. Oh man, look at this match, guys. Like rewind versus, and then I make top 8, and this guy just got 100 million gift subs. It's like I should have just stayed home. Yeah.
I mean, why not at that point, really?
Like it actually pays more money to restream an event than be at it and do well. You could just watch it,
And you have the following that would make sense for you too.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like that's literally a L recipe for wanting to go offline. It's like, wow, I could just make more money than this dude by restreaming his run. And that's not even a shot to the guys who do it. They're the smart ones. I'm the one who, I want to go show I'm one of the best. I'm the stupid one.
Which brings me to my next question. So last I checked, you're 13th in the pro competition standings.
Oh, that's cool because I didn't even know that.
What are your plans for the remainder of the year?
That's sad. Well, I don't even know where I am in the pro comp. Like I didn't even know where I was before the event that just passed. My plans, I'm just gonna play in the rest of those online NA West qualifiers and then get the points that I can scalp off those tournaments, play in the regional qualifier and hope to win that. And if I do, I get in the final combat. If I don't, at least I got a bunch of points that help me towards qualifying anyway. And then I'm just gonna go to Comp because I'm not going to Brazil. So I wanted to go to UFA in Brazil, but NRS's poor communication. They announced UFA 3 weeks before the event happened. And when you're flying from NA to France in 3 weeks, good luck if you don't have a sponsor.
Which you do have now currently, correct?
Yeah. So no, it wasn't. It was like a month before the event. Like they announced UFA. They announced ECT 3 weeks before ECT. I actually would have not went to ECT if I didn't assume that might have been the first NA pro competition event. Like everybody had a gut feeling that ECT was going to be the first one, and it was getting so close to ECT that it was like, if you don't book going to ECT before they announced that ECT actually is the pro tour, I was going to ECT because it was going to be the first MK1 offline tournament where a lot of people were going to go. And then boom, 3 weeks before the event happens, they say it's pro competition. Competition stop. So it's like if you didn't plan on going to ECT, now you were like, oh, it's too late.
Yeah, you have to so late that ECT, to register.
Yeah, it was so late that ECT had to extend registration for MK1 because they didn't know that it was going to be a stop. I don't know.
It seems to be a worrying trend, I would say. Just like
exactly
from the game itself down to the competitive side of it.
Yeah, it's sad.
Which is a shame because viewership could be high, but like half the time I don't even know when tournaments are happening. Like I know that there's There's daily tournaments, there's offline tournaments every now and again, but like I don't know when they happen. So
That's what I'm saying. And then look, think of Final Combat, right? Final Combat is supposed to be the tournament where the best of the best made it. But due to poor communication, a lot of players are going to miss. I'm missing out on Brazil. I missed out on UFA. So those are two events where players went to and are going to go to that I'm not going to, where they're going to scalp a whole bunch of points and then pass me on the leaderboard because I got announced that the tournament was going to happen a month ago. Now I have to scramble to ask my job, can I have the days off? I'm going to be out for an entire like 4 days, short notice. I know can't do that. I mean, not me. I can't because it's like I'm an adult, so it's hard to just like on short notice just try to like schedule days off.
right.
But yeah, it's like the best of the best are supposed to be there, but they didn't set it up in a way for that to happen. They just kind of set it up in a way to where like you if you got the bread, you could go. So say like there's 8 brand new faces in top 8 at UFA, 8 brand new faces in top 8 at Brazil. Those are 16 players that are going to pass me because, it's not really because I have points already, but that's just not great formatting.
And it won't be the deepest of tournaments either. So they won't really have to grind as much as someone at Combo Breaker.
Brazil has a entrance cap.
Yeah.
It has a cap. Like if you don't register within like the first 200 something players, you can't even go. What if you don't have the funds? What if you don't have a sponsor? What if you are trying to like not register because you don't even know if you can afford to book the room and book the flight? It's just they got to announce before Injustice 2 Season 2 Pro Tour happened. We knew all the events, where they were at, what's the best hotel, dates before the first event even happened. These events are getting announced while the Pro Tour is actively happening. Like it's like they're like creating the Pro Tour like as it's going on. You know what I'm saying?
If you were to guess, like, why is that?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I just assume it's something bigger than us, bigger than what we can control. This is a corporation. Like this is bigger than, a competitor. This is bigger than casual. This is like millions and billions of dollars. People making those decisions. We got no say in that. So
for sure. And so you talk about, having a full-time job and then, that being your livelihood. But how do you manage working full-time, streaming, creating content, and remaining, maintaining your ability as a competitive fighting game player? Because that's a long day.
I would say just talent and time management. I only play when I want to, when I feel like it. So when I'm only playing when I want to, I feel like I can produce pretty well when I want to. But when I'm trying to force myself to do it, like I'm not going to produce the best gameplay. I'm not going to produce the best stream. I'm not going to be entertaining. May not reach at, I stream when I want to and I play when I want to. So when you do that, that's why I don't have a schedule. I don't stream 5 days every Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday or Friday. And between this window, it's like I might not even get off work at time. My schedule's too erratic to make a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just playing when I want is like the best thing to me. For me, though, not everybody can do that though. Like if people just played when they wanted, they probably would suck because some people need to put in a lot of time to be great.
I mean, having that natural ability.
Lucky. Exactly. I'm kind of just lucky that I can still half dedicate, probably a quarter dedicate and still keep up, I guess.
Yeah, that makes it way easier. Not being one of those people who has to grind every day to maintain that level of, skill, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'd much rather, make this a living if I could. It's just not the time for that.
Mm-hmm. Someday, or are you just kind of committed to, would prize pools have to drastically change, or your
everything would have to change? Like, I would have to make enough money to quit my job for me to do it. If I'm not making more money from gaming than my job, that's a L decision. It's literally statistically a bad move. I'm making life moves here. I'm not making moves on a whim. I'm gonna do what secures my living, and I'm gonna keep doing the gaming stuff because I'm still building some form of legacy or something over here that might transcend one day.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
because if I just quit, what if it does get good and I already stopped, I retired. You know, but yeah, of course, I'd much rather like wish that I could just be an MK pro.
And then the last
And
one
some people
before,
are still living that dream, though. They're still trying to chase that. And
yeah,
I've already seen higher mountains than certain people, and I still couldn't make it a living. You know, people got to understand this is it's a lot bigger than just competing.
for sure. I mean, back in the days, people were going to MLG Anaheim, 2011, 2012, and the prize pools were just nothing.
Yeah,
And
I think
like
people
streaming wasn't a huge thing back in those days either.
Yeah, I feel like people are they get hypnotized by the big numbers, and they forget that like that's big number is only once.
And
That
it'll run out eventually. And then
you
what?
got exactly like when you go to a job, right? You're getting money either weekly or bi-weekly, and when it comes to tournaments, you're only getting paid when you do well. And when it comes to making money through content, you only get paid once a month. So if you're only getting paid once a month or when you do well, how are you ever going to move out of your mom's house or, buy a house or like
No stability.
that's what I'm saying. There's no stability. Like, and you're even seeing esports in general, like kind of heading that direction. Not even
A lot of
just,
layoffs.
I know that's kind of ironic to say that on a platform that's supposed to write an article that's named esports.gg. But it's
the cold hard truth, unfortunately.
The cold hard truth from a dude in it.
Yeah. Like you see it, you're in that. You see all these things from a different lens too. So which brings me to my next question. If there's one thing you could change about, I mean, I guess maybe I know the answer, but if there's one thing you could change about the state of competitive fighting games, whether it be NetherRealm, Mortal Kombat, or even beyond, what would it be?
You said competitive Mortal Kombat?
Whether it be fighting, like the fighting game community, fighting games overall, or like Mortal Kombat / NetherRealm.
I mean, I guess I would like to, but this is just selfishness. This is just from a competitor's like standpoint. Like I know this isn't like logistically like the W decision for a company to make, but I would love to see more games take the Capcom route where they're trying to turn their players into superstars.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to make their players, have the net worths of, big figures. Like you win $1 million if you win Capcom Cup. That is crazy. And that's like a tiny, very almost not noticeable fraction of what Capcom brings in. Right. So I know these companies have like a lot of money to give. It's just sad that like the amount that they give is at least interesting, pitiful. It's like Warner Brothers. We see the movies, we see the actor, and we see everything. We know like Warner Brothers is such a staple, just brand like logo. Like we just how do you not know Warner Brothers if you watch anything? If you have like a device, and you see the numbers, you see like what NRS brings in revenue, even in the first week or a year, you're like surprised that like a pro tour is like somebody can like make what the entire pro tour is in, a year, maybe, doing just something else.
It's a sprinkle of what, their revenue is,
Exactly.
It's just like, here, take this, know?
It's like, exactly. And you kind of just got to take it, you just got to take, like, that's what we're doing right now. We're just taking it. Cause like, what else are we going to do?
Because in a perfect world, because as much as maybe it's not feasibly, like financially the right decision, $1 million tournament, or even a tournament where the
see how many people played that game. Look at how much attention I think Capcom applying, but this is just like me talking and assuming. Like I don't know what the numbers translate to, but I feel like the amount of attention that Capcom drew from announcing such a crazy prize pool, they had so many people from casuals to other competitors in different scenes wanting to try Street Fighter. They're like, this could be the finally. They're like, this is the game that's going to change my life.
And it makes you want to watch too as a viewer. Like even if
You
you're
know
not
the money
interested
that's
in
on the line.
Street Fighter, like
You know the
wow.
money. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know the money's crazy. So you're like, there's just they invested 2 million in the hopes that that's what exactly it was gonna do, and I think it's doing it. You know, more money, more people are gonna try at it because there's a
And
lot of people like me who think strategically and logistically. You know, think of a guy like me, even though I know I can go to Brazil or UFA and probably do extremely well, I'm not gonna do it because I could just stay at home and probably make more. You know, it's like why
it
would I do
shouldn't be
that?
that way though. Like you should want to go to these things, but
Exactly. It's like, but I'm a guy that's gonna think logistically. Like
right.
I'm even looking at the final combat, first place, 30K. That's really cool. But that's if you win.
And what second? Do you know?
15.
Yeah.
These are less numbers than
But I'm assuming they
or-
pay for your travel and your room for that, correct?
yeah,
Hopefully. Okay.
yeah.
So maybe it's a little bit better.
It's a little bit better, but you have to like qualify first out of your
And that's
pocket.
not easy.
Yeah, you can qualify for final combat and like actually spend more money trying to qualify than you're gonna win ever. You know, you can say you go to every freaking major and like you do the very bare minimum to qualify. You get the bare minimum money, and then you get the final combat. Say you bomb the performance. Say you don't even get in the money. I think you might get in the money, but say you spend all that money year long to say I'm a final combatant, and you walk out of that with $1,000 or something like that. You're gonna be like, that's crazy. I just qualified. I went to Brazil, UFA, ECT, combo breaker. I did the bare minimum to qualify, and I walk out of final combat with the worst placing you can get. That's like there's like nothing to show for it, you know.
And I mean, I guess we'll just have to see what happens as MK1 continues. And I mean, there's a whole
Yeah,
nother side of it too with the cosmetic stuff. And
yeah.
yeah,
Such a good game. Just everything else is kind of a Debbie Downer, but I don't like this. Can my entire feelings about the game could completely take a 180. Like if they just did certain things, you know, um, more communication, stuff like that. But it doesn't. It hurts. It's a slap in the face to watch like Tekken players complain about something, and the next day it's patched. Like the next
I've
day,
seen that. Yeah.
bugs fixed. This is addressed. That's addressed. And if they it isn't addressed yet, they're going to tell us it's in the making or the works. You know, and the rest is like, hey, there's this game breaking bug. Like 2 months later, all right, it's going to be addressed in a month. A month happens, it's delayed. You know, it's like that's horrible.
Game desyncs. Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's like how you guys make billions, but your game has all these bugs.
Yeah.
It's like you guys pay these people crazy buku money, and you produced a very buggy game when your competitors really aren't producing. They're producing better.
Yeah. So to wrap things up, I just have a few rapid fire questions. If you just want to, give me the
Sure,
first thing,
sure.
that pops into your head, or which one you like, which one you enjoy more,
Go.
Injustice or Mortal Kombat,
Mortal Kombat.
Fatal Blow or X-Ray,
X-Ray.
Scorpion or Sub-Zero,
Scorpion.
MK1 or MK11,
MK1.
Reiko or General Shao.
Reiko.
Perfect. All right. That's all I had. If you want to take a few minutes and plug your socials or, your sponsors, your stream, go for it.
Shout out all the people that support me, watch the YouTube videos, watch the streams. You know, I'm literally nothing without those people. Because you take away those people, you look at those prize pools. It is what it is. You know, you take away the support, you look at the prize pools, you know that dude is struggling. You know what I'm saying? So I'm literally nothing without the people that support me. And shout out to Knights, picking up a Mortal Kombat player despite everything that, is going on. They still have faith in me, they still fully support me. So, shout out to the fam. Shout out you guys for taking the time to think I was worth reaching out to. So that's about it.